Right from the start, developer Deck 13 makes something abundantly clear with The Surge 2, as there's more story in the game's first hour than the entirety of the original. This is more than just a sequel, this is a showcase of the developer's growth. Set in the dystopian future in Jericho City, The Surge 2 throws you into the boots of a survivor of a mysterious plane crash. As you wake up in the derelict detention facility, you meet a familiar face from the first game and set off on a journey filled with betrayals, dismemberment, death, and interesting sci-fi elements. We won't spoil the story for you, as every new area and boss we discovered along the way has a reason to be there, and in The Surge 2, exploration and discovery in the game takes center stage with the help of some fantastic environmental storytelling throughout the areas of Jericho City.
I'd explain more, but it's best to witness the new order with your own eyes.
At its core, The Surge 2 is still a Souls-like title, and you can see the inspiration through its mechanics, penalties for dying, and boss fights. This means the game is extremely challenging but still fair, and no matter how many Souls-like games you've played in the past, you will still die over and over. With every death comes knowledge, and we slowly began to understand the game's finer mechanics. It goes without saying that The Surge 2 doesn't hold your hand, but it does give you some tips on how to survive the harsh environments and powerful enemies. Just like in other games of its type, even the weakest enemies can kill you in a few hits, and if you die, you lose all your scraps, which is the game's currency. Unlike Souls games, there is a timer ticking down where you have roughly 2 minutes to get back to your scraps before they disappear. This adds another layer of intensity to an already difficult experience, to the point that sometimes we just left the scraps and went in a different direction instead. While Jericho City isn't exactly open to exploring right from the start, with doors blocking your way, the city has a lot of verticality to it and different paths to unlock in order to progress by opening shortcuts to all the important med bays where you level up your character, bank your scraps, craft items, and more. What makes The Surge 2 stand out, however, isn't the improved story or world, but its combat and limb targeting mechanic. Many of the enemies you face are armored to the teeth with only 1 or 2 weak spots. You need to target these weak spots, and if you damage them enough, you can cut off a limb for the kill or even cut them in half. This adds another layer of difficulty, as targeting the correct limb in fast-paced brutal combat is something to get used to, but after about a dozen hours into the game, we were cutting off pieces over and over and over with ease. Dismembering an enemy isn't just for show either, as you need to do it in order to get materials for your gear. For example, if you want a headpiece upgrade, you'll need to cut off some heads. Everything in the game is upgradable, including more than 80 weapons, injections, several drones, and character mods. The latter allows you to further customize your character for your playstyle. For example, if you're into parrying attacks, you'll probably make good use of a mod that allows you to see which direction an attack is coming from. The game's combat shines in just about every aspect, as it is as brutally difficult as ever, and when it comes to boss fights, things escalate even further. Every boss fight sees you targeting specific parts, all while dodging deadly attacks. You can see us fighting Little Johnny here, targeting his mechanical tentacles and coolant tanks. These bosses have their own interesting personalities, with Little Johnny being somewhat of a spoiled brat and screaming in frustration as we beat him down. Then there are bosses like Brother Eli, who during the fight talk about what you did and why he is fighting you. Each boss has multiple phases where we needed to adjust our tactics. For example, Brother Eli spawns ads to help him after he reaches half health. Characters you meet along the way can betray you as well. For example, we brought a part that a friendly shopkeeper needed in order to run her business, and as a reward we got locked in a meat grinder and we had to escape. It's these type of interactions that really show us how much of an improvement The Surge 2 is over the original, with great memorable characters and a whole lot of world building. One of our favorite characters is the self-aware vending machine that tasks you with collecting audio logs for a reward, because he's a vending machine that loves a bit of snoop and gossip. These audio logs help further establish the world and the story, giving us more insight into characters, including bosses, that we face throughout the 40-hour experience.
Welcome back, killer! You have murdered 2 of Jericho's most notorious leaders. I would get in touch with my notary if I were you.
The Surge 2 does have some issues, as we found it very hard to navigate Jericho City, and the map system leaves something to be desired. Enemies bug out from time to time, and healing injections do feel as they have quite a big delay at times, making surviving even more difficult and at times a bit unfair. With that being said, the game is still well worth your time if you're a Soulsborne fan. It is very clear that the developer Deck 13 improved on every aspect of the original, with awesome boss fights, dismemberment, a much better story, world building, and characters for players to enjoy. There's no doubt that the Surge franchise has graduated from a Souls clone to standing on its own 2 feet, and that is the best end result we could have hoped for. That's why we've scored the game an 8.1 out of 10. Are you guys looking forward to the Surge 2 and are thinking of picking it up? Let us know down below. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please consider liking and subscribing, and until next time, farewell.